Hi, I'm Linda Vater, and I'm delighted to be partnering with Homeworthy to bring you into the garden, one of my favorite and I think most meaningful places to spend time. You may remember my tour of our Oklahoma City cottage, where my signature style first found a wider audience on the Homeworthy channel. My gardens reflect a mix of classic structure and cottage charm, shaped by years of hands-on experience, a lot of mistakes, and a deep appreciation for beauty in every season. Together, we'll explore timeless ideas, practical tips, and inspiration to help you create a garden that feels truly like home. Join me in living a garden-inspired life.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Well, boy, do I have a wonderful surprise for you today. Basically, just by popular demand and a resounding chorus of voices who asked if they could see the inside to my friend John Turman's home because you so loved his outside. Well, that's my treat for you today. We're gonna go inside. Actually, Stuart and I got here a little bit early because I wanted to revisit this unbelievable outdoor living room that has all of John's signature touches. And we're going to hold him to what he said earlier in the video, which we'll put a link above. If you didn't get to see the garden tour, then by all means, you're gonna wanna watch it. And we talked a lot about how the outdoor space should be an extension of the indoor space. And so we're going to hold him to that, and we're going to go inside, and we're going to really kind of deconstruct his methodology of how the inside informs the outside and the reverse, how the outside informs the inside. But I wanted to go back over and show you some close-ups of some of the things you commented on most, because these are just brilliant in their execution and in their originality, and basically just the real aesthetic punch that it gives to this space. So I wanted to show this to you again. This was fence post remnants with some kind of disc. It was some kind of, was this a hubcap disc that my friend Roger made, these sunflowers. There's one here and there's one over there. And so many of you commented on that, and I just thought, what a wonderful way to reuse, recycle, repurpose. So I wanted to show that again. And then probably the other most commented thing on was how he uses some of his blue and white broken pottery as kind of a decorative mulch, both in the garden beds and in his pots. And then that rhythm and repetition and ribbon of blue that permeates the entire space. And he very kindly in the comments went back and answered what this color of blue was. So many of you wanted to know what the blue, exterior blue was on the doors. He will tell us about that. It was a Sherman-Williams color, and he's really going to fill in a lot of the gaps and answer a lot of the questions that you had. But Stuart, if you don't mind just doing a beautiful pan of this incredible space with all of its detailing. And John, as I said in the garden tour, he is an interior designer. He is a self-professed and self-confessed maximalist who really indulges his love of layering. And you can see that in a lot of the architectural pieces that he uses, in his plant selections, in his very appropriately labeled, the other thing you guys commented on, his bottle bouquets that Stuart gave the moniker to, which I just love. There's one in the distance there. There is a miniature one here. It's got very much of a Santa Fe vibe, a city that's near and dear to both of our hearts. And then we're just going to give you a little tiny bit of a tease and a glimpse into his living room. Before we go back around to the front door, I don't know if he knows that we're already here and we snuck onto his back veranda. But now, Stuart, let's walk around to the front. And since you're a guest, as am I, we will just go in the guest entrance, which is the front door of this 1928 house within spitting distance of the Oklahoma City State Capitol. So let's come this way. So here is the brilliant entrance into the front door of this old Spanish adobe Spanish colonial home. We talked about this section that he added on, this bricked in area that's got, again, his signature blue in both plant material and in all of the glossy pottery, the glazed pottery. And then by the front door, of course, there is another bottle bouquet, but in this bottle bouquet, Stuart, look, he's got not only blue bottles, and how fun must it have been to party and drink the contents of these bottles to create this bottle bouquet, but he's also got some beautiful glass orbs in here. And I even kind of like the way that they're dusty and weathered, and probably how sometimes they look very aged with a veneer of dust, but then after a rain, how crystalline and clear they probably look. So this is how you're greeted. Wonderful light fixtures, just appointments everywhere you look. It's a little bit overwhelming, and I can already tell that I am so in love with John's home. I know I'm going to be a little overwhelmed myself when we go in. So we're going to try to break this up into some manageable components. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to divide this house tour into two sections. The original old house, and we'll put that in one video. And in the second video, you're going to want to make sure to watch it. We're going to put the extension and the add-ons and how he managed to make the two segue seamlessly and beautifully. So let's see if he is ready for us. I love the fact that it's got an old doorbell and it works. Hey,
Hello.
John.
How are you?
Good to
Come
see you.
in.
Thank you,
Good
sweetie.
to see you.
It's so nice of
Hi,
you
Stuart.
to indulge us. Okay. So first of all, can I just say, I am always so happily surprised when one of these old doorbells work. How charming is that?
Isn't that great? And it did have to be repaired, so I'll say that, but it is the original doorbell. So
I love it. I love the sound of it. I
do
love
too.
the feel of it. It's a very kind of central experiential thing that I just absolutely.
A little different than a ring.
Yes, than a new home in the
Right,
suburbs.
so.
Look, I told our viewers, if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do is maybe do this in two parts.
Okay.
It's such a visual extravaganza that I know everybody's going to want to really absorb and deconstruct all of your appointments and your vignettes. There's just so much to see everywhere. So we might divide it up.
Okay, that works for me.
So maybe we thought the old original part of the house and then the add-on.
Okay. And I don't know if you reminded your viewers, but this is in the historical Lincoln Terrace neighborhood, which is a protected neighborhood right by the state capitol. And the house was built in 1928 by a prominent Oklahoma City builder. I think I'm the sixth owner of it.
Really?
So it was a nice house, I think, at one point, and then I think it was a rental. Not so cool.
Yeah.
And then the person before me started working on it again, and then I
Started showing
spent
us.
22 years working on it myself.
So you both showed it
Yes.
a lot of love. And by the way, you were like a block from the governor's mansion.
Yes. The Capitol's a block one way, and the governor's mansion is not even a block the other way. So.
Yeah. So if you want to drive by John's house like you guys drive by my house, now I've given you a little clue to where it is. You'll probably recognize it. This door is incredible.
Yeah, there's some great details, and it appears to me that when they built the house, that they probably bought a package of things, and I think the front door, the stair banister, and there are 3 light fixtures in the house that all have a similar motif on them. And you used to could do that. I mean, those were the days of Sears homes and that sort of thing. And so you could buy things to use in a home that you were building to give it the character and the history that you were looking for.
But the quality of it.
Yeah,
I mean, this door is so heavy.
Absolutely.
I mean, and what's that ringing?
So it's my bells on the back of the door. So
Well, of course
Yeah.
you have. Of course you have bells, and not just at Christmas time on the back of
no,
your
those
door.
are always there. So and there's a little story about that. So I have cousins who are now in their 90s that live in Nashville. And a couple of years ago, they had to downsize, and so I helped them do that. But they had those bells on their front door. So all my life going there, I'd heard those bells ring when we went in. And so it was just a cool thing to bring them to my house. That was one way to do it.
You know,
So,
I have some antique sleigh bells that belong
yeah.
to my mom that she always had hanging by the fireplace, and but I bring mine out at Christmas. You've got
mine are, well, they're on a blue cord, of course, so they can stay out all the time.
Duh.
And I didn't do that. He did it. So,
He did it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this room. Look at the first of all, you have a pretty fabulous canvas to work with.
Yes. Well, when I walked in the first time and saw the ceiling with these beams and the boards, it was like, okay, this could work. I mean, I'd been looking for a house for quite some time, couldn't find one, and the door was the first clue.
Yeah.
Came around the corner and looked up in here, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Swoon.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like, okay, this will work. I don't care what the rest looks like, this will work.
Arched doorways. Tell me about the walls. Look very Adobe, very
they are,
Spanish.
and it's just a traditional plaster on lath, but then they've been treated to look like hand Adobe, hand done Adobe.
Yeah.
Which I almost positive is original to the house because it's everywhere in the old part of the house.
Well, it's just fabulous. So there's just so much to look at here. Someday I'm going to come in with a bottle of wine and I'm just going to drink the whole bottle myself and do nothing, but take the time to really wander, look, and demystify the brilliance of your layering. Now, I said earlier on your porch that you are a self-professed maximalist.
Yes, I am.
And have you always been that way? Has it evolved over time?
Well, this is also a story. I have lots of stories, so you may get tired of them. But I'm going to give away my age. So I was born in 1960, and my parents built a Better Homes and Gardens idea home from 1960. So it was this ranch, contemporary, the very end of mid-century. They completely furnished it in mid-century modern furniture. Everything was spare and minimal and all that. And I resisted that as a child even. I appreciated what my grandparents had. I loved all their stuff, and that's when I started with the blue and white, even when I was probably 10 or something, and started thinking about that. But anyway, I just went completely opposite. Of course, now I completely appreciate that I grew up in that fabulous house.
Yes.
And I have a couple of pieces that that were in it, but for the most part, I'm a traditionalist and a maximalist, as you say.
Right.
So,
But I think it's important that you had maybe the little embryonic hints when you were young that this might be your profession later on.
Absolutely.
And you came by it very naturally. And did they have a starburst clock?
We did not have a starburst clock. We had some weird clock though. There was a clock, but it wasn't a starburst. But we had an orange sofa that was probably 9 feet long.
Oh, we did too.
And then some of the accent colors were green, and green and orange are two of my least favorite colors together.
Avocado green.
It wasn't. It was bottle green. This bright, vibrant.
Really?
Kind of it was a pretty color.
Now that's kind of come back
with
around.
Orange, and it just and I absolutely see it. But
The
it's,
70s version.
It's not blue and white. So
anyhow,
Right.
Obviously this is an explosion of beautiful blue and white. You've got this popular look, which I have to say I have in my home too, the white slip covers. Is this just a canvas?
It is. In fact, it was just very inexpensive canvas that I purchased, and we had slip covers made for them.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned when you have a lot of stuff, sometimes you have to have some simple things. Mm-hmm. So having a very neutral upholstery with all this stuff around it, gives you a silent space, or a quiet space, I call it. You'll also see a couple of places in one of them, which is actually a continuation from outside. Stuart, when you turn around and look at the chimney on the fireplace, you'll see that I didn't put anything on it because I wanted a place to rest your eye.
Right.
And it's the same way outside as well. So you get this, I know somebody commented they thought there should be something on the outside of the house. And I'm like, no, that's my quiet space on the outside. And I did the same thing in here. And also, and Stuart, I'm doing this to you again, on the other side of you, I chose this, it's not old, it's made to look old, but just again, something kind of neutral and big instead of having some huge painting over the sofa. Because there is, as you see on both ends of the room, a lot of confusion and
so there's a lot
color
a beautiful
pattern.
tension. Again, a great canvas. They help contribute to the backdrop and the canvas of it, and also a little bit the tension, the brilliant tension between large things, large uncluttered things, and then the heavily detailed
lots of layering.
Yes, very heavily layered, detailed compositions, largely of blue and white.
Lots of blue and white.
That you have. Are these bookshelves original to the house?
They were not. That was one of the first things I did actually when I moved here was started with those bookshelves, and you'll see lots more have happened since then, but this was the first place to do it. And one of the things, and we may talk about this some more later, but when you have a lot of stuff, having bookshelves to contain it and to manage it is a really good way to show it all off. And you still get some, well, you've got some lines around all the stuff, and it just kind of holds it. And so you can just keep layering and creating these little vignettes of things. So
I think it's similar to me for my potager. It's kind of like organized chaos.
it is, absolutely.
The stuff within the confines of the infrastructure, for me, my box or whatever, for you, for your bookshelves, it kind of contains a lot of what could be visually discordant.
Absolutely.
But you have it contained, and so it makes sense. And the other thing is we're drawn to pattern, and so as humans we are, and you've got a wonderful pattern of this blue and white and textures, and the way that you have, but even the way you've like composed your stack of books and things looks very intentional to me.
It is very intentional, yes. I definitely have gone through and done each shelf, and over time, I mean, it sort of, you kind of just drop things in place, and then you stand back and look, does this work or not?
Right.
Sometimes it does not. Sometimes it does, but you have to go
But
back
isn't
and
that the fun
edit.
of it?
Oh, that's what makes it great fun. Yeah, absolutely.
And makes it a dynamic thing and not a static thing, so
yes,
that your home, even to your own eye, always looks fresh. The other thing I've noticed is that you didn't skimp in building the bookshelves to make sure that they really look very much indigenous to the house, even though they weren't, because they look formidable. They don't look like they were from IKEA or something.
Right.
They have the same heft, the same visual weight as the original part of the house, with these fabulous windows. I love the way also that you repeated the look in the slip covers in your window treatments.
Yeah, I wanted something very simple. Again, you just have to have some simplicity when you do all this stuff. If you tried to do a window treatment that covered the window or had a pattern or something like that, you would just create so much confusion that it would just all, it kind of becomes muddy, is kind of the way I look at it. You need something to clarify it.
I think, I really, to cleanse your palette.
Yes.
I think, your visual palette, and this does this brilliantly. But I mean, for those of you guys that are blue and white lovers, oh my gosh, you are going to want to stop this video on practically every frame to look at things. Tell me the story. It looks very Japanese.
Of the picture? Again, a thrift store find, truly.
You're kidding.
And I really think it came out of an Asian restaurant. When I got it, it was completely covered in grime. It took me a long time to get all the grease and all the stuff off of it. But of course, I love the color and you know, just the scene in it. And I think it works so well with the other Asian-inspired things I have. So.
And very simple lines.
But it was truly, in fact, and you can't see it from here probably, but the frame is really pretty cool too. Can you see it? Good. And I'm going to say it was $10, so, you know.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Stuart's impressed. Yeah, as am I. The value of thrifting, you just can't get those one-of-a-kind, unbelievable things any place else.
And this week, thanks to you, I went to one of our local antique stores that you did a video of recently. And I hadn't been long to Antique
Cabinet. And isn't it just wonderful?
Well,
did you meet Erin?
Well, I did. She was not there when I was there, but I remember her old store, and I loved it. And when I found out she was at this place, I was like, oh, I have to go again. So I was looking around, and I'm kind of relating this back to the thrift store find up here. But I found a new piece of art that just spoke to me again because it was blue. And it was just this sweet little thing. Who knows when it was done. I'm sure it's some amateur watercolorist.
It doesn't matter, though, does it?
Matter. But it just spoke to me when I was in there. And of course, and again, it was like, I think it was $40. You know, things have gone up.
But you had just the right spot for it.
Well, I did a little work on this wall. I had been collecting things that had not been hung. So this is something that happened recently. I took about half of it down and added 4 pieces. So
we're going to do, you guys, a little wrap up because, again, there's so many of these things you can try at home, but please pay attention to John. We're going to do a wrap up where you give us some of your best professional design tips, because I think gallery walls are so popular right now, but I think there are some ways to do them well and maybe less.
Absolutely, no.
Less than well. Should we put it that way?
True.
So we want to talk a little bit about that.
You'll see 2 other gallery walls in our house. So,
versus this very clean look, which I tend to do more, which is the geometric linearity of hanging like pieces together in a way that can frame the void of your beautiful chimney. So that's just that's really just incredible. I see, don't you think that it gives a window into a person when you look through the contents of their bookshelves? And
in fact, that book you just went to has a great title, May I Come In? And of course, being in this business that we both are, it's the thing we want to do the most is go in somebody's house. So this is a woman who, in New York, Wendy Goodman, who went to all these houses she'd been to and put this wonderful book together talking about it. So
it's very, I was telling you, John is not familiar with Quintessence. If you've got to watch some of those videos where they do that, they go into some of the major tastemakers of our time and they look at their interiors, and it's so fun to be.
It is.
It's so fun to be a voyeur. Here is another takeaway, you guys. Look at the way you've got. Now, granted, we don't do CDs very much
Again,
anymore.
showing my age.
But nevertheless, any variety of things that you have that you're wanting to contain and store could all be categorized in that way. They look like they were custom made for this space. But I have found just by Googling baskets that fit this space, you can typically come up with something that looks custom.
And that happened before we could Google. So I found one at Target that fit, and so then I ended up going to 5 Targets to find enough, because of course they only had 2 at each Target. So it was a bit of a trek. I couldn't just have them sent on my Amazon Prime, but it did work out well. So.
Well, another key that you're going to discuss with us a little bit later, you have a very eclectic vibe. So in these bookshelves, you've got old things, you've got new things, you've got Asian things, you've got Spanish colonial things. You have a whole ensemble of different kinds of historical comportments that come into play. You're going to talk about some tips to how you make it look homogeneous and consonant together with so many disparate kinds of things. Well, I could spend a month in this room, and I may come and do that sometime if your couch is comfortable.
Oh, they are.
And we could spend so much time in here. But another thing I want to impress upon you is I know that as I get older, I am trying to declutter a little bit because I'm a layering person too. But lots of layers come with you know, we have to take care of more stuff. And that comes with time and responsibility.
It does.
So I could easily see you could come in here. And by the way, here's a tease. John is going to come to my house.
I can't wait.
And we're going to kind of go over some things, how he can help me kind of zhuzh up my house. We have a lot in common. But also I could easily see someone who was more of a minimalist or heading in that direction, how they could come in here and they could edit out 50% of what you have, and it would still very much have the same warmth, the same eclectic, vibrant feel of things that have been collected over time.
That's true. And one of the fears in the work I do with my clients is that I want them to see my house, of course, because I love it, but it is a little intimidating. And so I don't want them to think that this is what it takes to create a warm look or even a minimalist look, which I can do too. But this is the way I choose to live, and I love it. I like too many things, but it is a little scary for people. So I like to get going with them before they ever see what comes out of me, and it makes a difference, I think.
Well, and I think there are so many analogies to gardening, because I think what I like to try to impress on people, they will say, oh, if you came to my house, you would be appalled at my garden or whatever. There are so many different languages and forms of beauty, and there's no typically one right way. There is just the way that is right for you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what makes it, that's what resonates with people is if...
and sometimes they don't quite know how to execute it or express it, and so they need our help, to nudge them along. But absolutely, I always want to try to do what I think is right for the client. It's not something I don't want to impose myself on. In fact, I did that one time, long time ago. Someone loved my house, and she goes, I want this. And I said, okay, well, we can do it. And it was a small space, so we could do it. It was a disaster, I will have to tell you. You just can't push that on somebody.
Well,
and she thought she wanted it. She really didn't. So,
So it's about asking yourself tough questions. I have a book coming out.
Yes,
in March, And a lot of what I talk about is how you deconstruct something to get it to look the way that is just right for you.
That's
not
absolutely
for anybody else, but just right for you. Okay, so let's, like I say, I could be here for forever. Stuart's probably going like this. Get on with it, get on with it.
Before we leave this room, I just want to show you that it does connect to the outdoor room.
Yes, and so this is what excuse me for interrupting
no,
you,
you're
John, but this is what I wanted to see if you held true to your promise.
So what do you think?
Oh my gosh. It is a seamless extension of your home. So many people wanted to know, what color is this?
That is a Sherwin-Williams Regatta, and I answered some questions on the garden video with the paint number. I don't remember that off the top of my head, but I've told you that one and the other two colors outside. So there are the 3 paint colors for outside.
Okay. Regatta, as in a very mariner term.
It is.
Regatta, and you can see that it is just seamless.
It is.
Indoors and out.
So
And oh my gosh, can I just say
Absolutely.
how much I love
don't you
screen
love the
doors,
sound? Right.
these old, because I think gardens should be sensual and experiential, and I think homes should be too.
I agree. I love that sound.
Well, this is just very, very wonderful. Okay, again, tactile, everything is just loved, and I can tell collected over time. So let's go, so this is still original to the house.
Yes.
What is your source on great rugs?
There's a local place here, Tippery's, where I buy some things. The living room rug came from there. The one in my office did. This one, I used to work in retail. This was something that was going to be dumped, and I paid $20 for it. So remember when we used to have the Ralph Lauren shops?
Oh gosh, yes.
Tricked them all out. Well, this was one of the pieces in it. And then the one behind you, which is a favorite, but my really favorite one's in the back. But this belonged to a sort of in-law relative who has been deceased for many, many years, and it was in their house. But then Tabriz restored it for me, which was great.
That is wonderful. It's so interesting. One of my husband's original employees, he is an office furnishings designs and outfits office furniture and office complexes, and one of his first designers was one of the original Ralph Lauren store designers.
You know, those fixtures used to be made in Oklahoma.
I know.
Which was so interesting.
This is another thing, like B.C. Clark's that I alluded to earlier. This is very much of a Harold's thing.
No, even though the preppy look started on the East Coast, we did it really well.
We did, because we had the real Western flair, Western interface. Okay, so you've got a wonderful sideboard here with more of your blue and white on it. And then, so this is your office?
It's my office now. The original purpose of this room in the house was the master bedroom. There is a full bathroom and a closet up to these spaces. But I really think, based on the built-ins on this wall, which seem to have been here forever, I think it was probably always used as a sitting room or a TV room or an office or something. I don't know. But when I opened my own business, I made this my office. So it's a great place to work.
Well, it is. It is just lovely. It really is. You and I obviously share an obsession with books. Almost every room of your house and every room of my house, with the exception of the bathrooms, look like they're libraries. And this is something I'm struggling with.
Really?
How do you cull out things that...
I don't. I just keep collecting.
You just keep collecting?
And you'll see, I even have duplicates of things, and I always think, I'll give one of these to somebody that means something to me. But then at the other time, I'll think, but I could take that book apart and frame all those beautiful things that are in it,
Right.
So then I don't do it. So
and the other thing with me that's a danger...
Can I have 3 copies of that one, see?
Well, then you can give one of those.
Right, I could give one of those.
You could give that to me for Christmas.
I can give that to you.
So I was talking about my sons, and they also, now I've got all of their books and things that they don't want me to get rid of. The other thing that this is my takeaway tip. I was just looking, I was just saying, I just looked at this book yesterday. I've got the same one. But here's my takeaway tip.
Okay.
If you are pulling out your books and you're starting to get rid of, like right now, I've got way too many gardening books. And I can gift those to people who are at the beginning of their gardening career. But my one tip is, and I bet you do the same thing, I I am constantly tucking little mementos in books of thank you notes, of photographs, of messages people have sent me, little kind of communication clediments that I've put in those books. And then I'm always afraid I'm going to give a book away without salvaging something that is very prized to me in it. So you really have to shake
yes,
up.
you do.
Just like you clean out the pockets of anything or underneath the cushions, I really have to be very, very careful that I empty them out.
I agree with you. But on the other hand, when the book does get to an estate sale or the thrift store or whatever, and then someone else purchases it, they get the best treasures. I have found so many cute things in books that I never would have known about. And a lot of times it'll be something that has something to do with that book, about a person in it or whatever. And so interesting. So know at least if you do give it away, that someone else benefits from it.
Or, and a sense of history. I think that real sense of history. So. Okay, now this is a weird thing, but that I love about you. John even said we could go into his bathrooms because of course your bathrooms are also decorated.
They are.
So Stuart, go in and look at, you have artwork.
So that's my collection of interior renderings.
And some of them look fabulous, like they really date back to...
the big one is from my cousin, and he did that in the 60s. And then the one right under it is actually his living room. And he did this, and I have all of them. He did a program for a group of people in Nashville, and he did, I think there are 10 of these boards that he did these wonderful renderings, and then he had all the samples and all the stuff to go with it. Well, he kept the boards, and so when they moved, they were in the attic, and I couldn't throw them away, so I brought them all home and I framed this one.
That one is just, man, talk about jettisoning you back to another era and another time.
And the one that Stuart's looking at right now, that living room was done in, I think, probably the late 60s. And Bloomingdale's decorating was the thing, this country French. And so Jay added those fake beams and did that. And then, of course, in the 70s, it got all redone. So.
Oh, yeah. But which is probably why you're eclectic in philosophy, because you love things from so many different,
I like from
so
all the
many
periods.
different eras.
I really do.
And Stuart and I are going to apologize. He's doing a great job, as is the camera. But this is a house, so we're not stage lighting to really do shooting. Is the floor original?
That
to
is
the
original,
house?
and the wall tile's original in there. I think
I've got very similar tile in my guest bath.
I love that little detail on the little trim piece.
Yes.
The
problem is when some of the toilet paper ends up when it cracks or breaks. Kind of hard to find a replacement for that stuff. So Stuart, did you get a 360? And you've got lots of texture that's incorporated in textiles, framed textiles, blankets, quilts. Loving this vibe. So when we get to my house, and I love, one thing I noticed, one appointment that I need you to help me with, is all of your pillows seem to be more down-filled and flat and squishy versus overly stuffed with foam, I
have an abhorrence for those.
A la Pottery Barn, and that's how some of mine are, and I need to get rid of the
And there's actually,
stuff.
I've been using a faux down material, which this one actually is down, but the ones in the living room are done with this other, and it's a great squishy feel, and I love it, so it's really nice.
Well, and then I think, and especially if it's faux down for those of us with allergies, as am I, which is one of the reasons I don't have a lot of it, because I could. Yeah. Okay, this is just great and so comfortable. I could just come in and hang out here while you're working, John. Look over your
sometimes
shoulder.
I hang out there when I'm working. So
I do the same thing in my office.
So
absolutely.
I love it.
This is wonderful. Okay, so now let's come back here, and we're going to give you a glimpse over, Stuart, into the dining room, which almost has, and we're going to go in the dining room later, but it has a primitives vibe.
I think that piece of furniture kind of causes
vibe.
that. And I'm one of these people too, when I buy furniture, I have a real hard time getting rid of it. So early in my buying, I bought a couple of more primitive pieces, this piece in the hallway, the sideboard in the dining room. And then the white piece where all the blue and white is, was a piece that my grandmother had built for their country home. And of course it was this ugly brown. And when I moved here, I brought it here and we just painted it to match the wall. So, and then the paint swelled the doors. So I just decided I would use that leather, and time closed.
Okay,
And it has this great closure.
Another great takeaway, as is, and I did this in my dining room, which is a Ralph Lauren glazed red, and I painted an armoire the same color, the same red to match the walls. So that's a great takeaway tip, you guys, especially if you've got a piece of furniture that's maybe not special.
Right.
Or maybe is special and you want to figure out a way to incorporate it into your house, then you just make that canvas simpler by painting it the same way. And
so I did that, and then bought new knobs, and then as I said, created the way to close it. So
and bought a few more pieces of blue and white.
Tons of blue and white. That's
we
need an
intervention. We need an intervention. Okay, can we go upstairs?
Yes, let's go upstairs. So, Stuart, as you come by, notice some of the details on the banister, because I think it's pretty cool.
And this is original to the house, I'm going to guess.
It is, absolutely.
And the floors are original. Did you have to restain and refinish your floors?
We did do that, yes.
Yeah. And this winding staircase, isn't it wonderful?
It has a great feel with the curve, doesn't it?
The other nice thing is this is older age friendly because the treads are wide and not real steep. So that is just really... Come on up, Stuart, and join us. But before you do, very, very carefully, without breaking anything, turn around. So, all right, you come on up, Stuart. Come on up and
show what I can show first.
Show what you can show first, because
I'll turn.
Yeah, because there's really cool stuff behind Stuart, and accolades to Stuart, who does such a good job of navigating these contorted spaces that we put him in.
And without knocking anything over.
Well, sometimes we knock things over, but usually they're in my garden. So that adds me to a question. Let's go in here while we talk. For me, one thing. So much of how you think about the now is what was informed by your past. And I grew up in one of those households where I've got 9 brothers and sisters, and I grew up in a household where if something got broken, you got in really big trouble. And I just had the exact opposite. I think everything in your house should be used. I don't care how valuable it is. I think it shouldn't stay hidden away in a closet. If it breaks, that means it was loved.
Right.
I mean, that doesn't mean that we're careless with our things. But to me, I would be much more concerned over broken feelings than broken objects. The people are more important than the stuff.
They are.
And that is definitely something that informed how I think about material things growing up.
And on that same thread, growing up, one of my grandparents had a beautiful home, and it was very traditional, and they had all kinds of lovely things in it, a lot of which are here. But when I was probably 7 or 8, I would take 2 card tables and put them together in the family room and cover it all with blankets. And then I would select things from the bookshelves and off the tabletops.
So
it didn't matter how precious it was.
DNA.
She would let me take all this into my house that I had built. And the only stipulation was that I had to put it all back. I had to clean up after it was over. But anyway, that's how I learned to appreciate beautiful things. And I knew how to handle them. And
the art of composition.
Absolutely. And the fact that she let me, she trusted me to do that was pretty amazing. So I do feel like you should let anybody in your home, they have to have some respect for it, but they need to learn how to love things and to appreciate them.
Yeah, so I mean,
be part of it. So,
do I want red wine on my white slipcovers? No, but it happens.
It happens.
Right. I'm not going to lose sleep over
and
it.
It's happened here. So. Not from you, but it has happened here.
But it happens.
Yes,
but
it does happen,
definitely.
So.
We take ownership of those things ourselves. So I love this room. For one thing, it's got great light.
It does have a good light.
It has a really great light. It feels very cozy to me because it's got kind of a low ceiling, which I think sometimes is...
Oh, I love it. In fact, that these kind of cove. It just kind of, I don't know, you just feel like you're in this really safe space. And you're up high, which is great, and then you're looking out into the yard.
Yeah,
so.
Very, very much so. And all of your stuff has kind of, by osmosis, your blue and white stuff has come upstairs and informs, like if I like to put words on things. So if I were going to come in and put words on your house, probably the first word that I would put is chambray. I mean, definitely denim, chambray, in addition to obviously blue and texture. and things like
Well,
that.
and I think one of the things you pointed out too is that my blue things, they do have some texture to them, most of them, and they're not sweet exactly. They're and I hate to use terms like masculine and feminine, but it is a little more masculine.
Yes.
And I've used plaids, and I've used I don't know, like you said, texture, stripes, and that sort of thing. And then there are a few things that are sweet, like a quilt, or
but that's
floral plates on the wall or something like that. But,
I agree completely. And I would even say, even though my garden has some roses and flowers and things, even my own garden has a very masculine architectural feel, because lots of evergreens, lots of structure, even topiary to me has that
it does,
kind
absolutely.
of quality. And I'm like you, I like romance, but not necessarily sweetness.
Right, I agree.
And I think there's kind of a difference.
And then another cool thing about using lots of blue is if you use a neutral background. So you'll notice that if everything came out of this house, there would be no blue, except on the doors. That would be the only place.
It very much feels to me like some of the bed and breakfasts in Santa Fe or in Colorado or things where you've got special things and just wonderful layering with. These are gorgeous, but this is a layering thing that you can do inexpensively.
Absolutely.
and not just inexpensively at Walmart, but inexpensively at your thrift store. So one of the things I like to do at thrift stores is look at clothing, draperies, anything like that. If there's great fabrics of something that can be done.
Well, and that fabric on that pillow used to be on this big chair, and of course it faded. And when we took the fabric off, I actually reversed it, and there was enough good fabric to make one pillow. So I still have my plaid. So you really should pay attention to what you're throwing away and giving away. And
I do
if
that
there's
with
a reuse.
tablecloths. I'll use them on the
Opposite side.
so that so it gives you a double
It does.
a double use and more of a weathered older look. Stuart said about my house, when you come into my house, you can't ever tell what's old or what's new or what's new and what's made to look old or. And I guess that's what I love, because I want everything to kind of look used and loved and.
No, I do too.
And
as you can see.
But like this is the simplicity of this is just brilliant, but goes so well with all of your layered stuff. Just really wonderful. And books everywhere.
And as you said, they're everywhere with the bathrooms. And I have shelves in the bathrooms, but no books.
Well, it just is. And you do like I do. You've got them stacked everywhere. They make great little tables.
Well, they do. That was too low to use the stool for a table, and some big books made it work.
Yeah, for me, they make great little tables for topiary and
they do.
Things, and they kind of frame and elevate, and lots of wicker. You've got lots of wicker.
And that was a love that came from when I was probably in my 20s. I just liked that. And everybody, recently there was this, in the magazines, they're all, wicker's coming back. Well, it never went away in my house, right?
Yeah.
So,
some of you have seen my bedroom, and I will definitely video again, but I have 3 pieces of my mom's wicker in my bedroom.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great, again, for texture, I love it.
Yeah, me too. Okay, this is just like, this is what I call a decorating double down.
Oh, really?
Okay, so
explain that.
Okay, so you double downing in a good way, because what you did was you doubled down on the green of these, which is just, remarkable. It would just be blasphemous to tear this stuff out, this tile. And what I mean by double down is that you carried that same green over to the storage and the shelving and the trim work and everything in the best way.
Well, when I first moved here, of course, I didn't, this is not my favorite color scheme, and I painted the walls the pale yellow, and all the trim was the pale yellow from the tile, and it just didn't work. Right. And then finally I was like, okay, I'm going to own it.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it green. And actually, I think this is a beautiful color of green. It just doesn't go with the rest of the house so much. But
look at that.
And that detail is just terrific.
Yeah.
Anyway, it made a great place to put art pottery and some things that don't always blend in other places. And so this is one of the few places you do see green in my house. But
the way you do
and it's kind of a blue-green. So
it is a blue-green. The other thing is you've continued the blue-green thematic, and you've introduced the blue via your artwork and some of the pottery and things like that. Even the rug has hints of blue in it, so it in no way looks like it doesn't fit in here. You
Right.
know, it very
Well,
much.
and when the walls were yellow, I covered the walls in here with blue and white china. So that's how this blue and white china thing started. And then, of course, the collection got much too big. So it went to the bedroom.
Yeah.
And then I came back with the art pottery and the green, and I like it
Yeah.
much better this way. So,
Gosh, this
but
reminds
they're great. These are all original fixtures, and they all really work so well. And
This so reminds me of my grandmother's
yeah,
house.
so it's
Yeah,
great.
I mean down to just even the rust.
Or even the rest, right? That's part
yeah,
of it. So
Yeah,
it is.
just fabulous. So Stuart, before I started to yell at you to turn around, this was what I wanted to show: is the wonderful. You have so many different areas for staging, which is one thing I kind of feel like I don't have in my house. I don't have enough. It's an English tutor, and I just don't have enough places
To do things, right?
Yeah, which may be a good thing. And then you've got just texture. Stuart thinks that's so funny. Don't you, Stuart? Stuart and I have an understanding that we are free to make fun of one another.
Oh, that's what makes life interesting. I like
yes,
doing that. So.
Yes.
So, and then this would be the second bedroom upstairs, but my husband uses it for his
Yeah.
office. And so he is a musician, and so these are mostly musical related
Wow.
things, and artwork and cathedrals, and again, another collection of
Oh, and I just, yeah,
things.
but with a different, oh my word, yes, definitely, he's a musician.
Yes, absolutely.
Look at this, Stuart. This is.
And in here, we did do much simpler bookshelves. We didn't want to
Oh, Stuart's telling me
invest
to get out of the way.
make the investment, and we wanted them to be somewhat removable so that if someone did want this room to be a bedroom again. So we did a simpler thing, although they are built. They're not, but IKEA would have worked in here.
Yeah.
And been just fine.
So how did you decide who got which office? They both are so charming
Well,
and in different ways.
since I work at home,
Since you work at
I get to
so
go
he
to-
doesn't work.
he doesn't.
Okay.
yet, no.
Okay. Now Stuart's daughter, I've said this before. In fact, we were at a recital for her last night. She is a brilliant musician at OCU.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so she would find this fascinating.
Yeah. Well, Scott is about to retire. He is the musician at St. Paul's Cathedral downtown.
Oh wow!
And so a lot of his office has come
wow.
home because
Yeah.
we're in that process of
Yeah.
moving all that. So
Yeah,
by
This
next
is
year, everything
just-
will be here. So,
yeah. This is just.
but you'll notice there's no organ or piano, so we don't have room for those things.
Yeah.
So-
Well, you really need space. For those
Right, you
kind of
really do. It
things.
wouldn't be appropriate,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Well, this is just lovely. So I haven't asked you, how many square feet is your house?
Well, the original house was about 1,950 square feet.
Okay.
And then we made about a 700-foot addition to the back, so 2,650 is what.
Okay. Look at this wonderful
So
picture.
that fixture was in the breakfast room originally in the house, and the fixture from here was missing. And when we did, well, I think I just brought that up. I brought that up here immediately because I thought it looked better in here. But this detail right here is the same on the stairs and on the dining room chandelier. So that's what makes me think that they came in a package deal.
Right.
So
Right. And a beautiful package.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. That.
I would love to have known what the original was in here because there was
Yes.
a ceiling fan here when I got here. So
Oh, really?
yeah. Not
Well,
good.
you know what? We're going to have to give our viewers a bathroom break
Okay.
or a snack break or something. So we're going to stop here because we've seen the original components of this house and how you have so brilliantly adorned it. It's just incredible. So we're going to just take a break here, and then you guys are going to want to make sure to go along with us for part 2 because we still haven't seen the redone kitchen,
Right.
laundry room, master suite, and you're not going to want to miss it. John, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being here.
Sure. So here you go. Here is your twofer fashion epilogue for today. So if you've held on this long, then here it is. If not, just go on to the next video. So today, my ensemble are my favorite sunglasses, my aviator Ray-Bans. I've got, this is definitely going to age me, John, but I've got kind of a Peggy Lipton vibe
Yes,
going.
yes, you do.
from Mod Squad
Absolutely. I
days,
remember that.
from forever ago. So I've got kind of a 60s, 70s vibe going on. My shirt is from Charlotte Russe. I have had it for forever and a day. I bet I've had it for 25 years. My little crochet hippie bag actually came from my mother-in-law via me. She used to wear lots of little purses like this. I gifted this to her, and so after she passed, I took it back because it reminds me of her every time I think about it.
How cool. I love that.
My breeches came from Anthropology, and it was one of those deals where I just fell in love with them, but they weren't my size, so I had to have them tailored. Sometimes I spend more on tailoring than I do on the object itself, but I love the work on it, and it's blue and white, so it's probably after your heart too.
Probably so.
And I think my sandals came from Nordstrom Rack, and of course, if you've got an ensemble like this, then you have to have some kind of 60s vibe earrings. And my 60s vibe earrings, I think, came from I don't know where, because I've had these for so long. But I love hoop earrings. Okay, so John, you are always so stylishly dressed, and of course in blue and white. So what's your ensemble?
Well, I think it's just my casual, not exactly work clothes, but
Okay.
the next step up, because usually I'm in shorts. So, but anyway, this, because I am a blue person, this is my new indigo shirt from J. Crew. Just got it. And
I
it's
love
knit. It's made like an Oxford,
So
but it's
would
a
this
knit.
still be available
Still
if somebody
available.
was
I
looking
think.
for them?
I think so.
Okay,
Got it recently though. Anyway, and then bonobos pants with a drawstring, which I'm not going to show you, but anyway, work well. And then my Vans classic tennis shoes, which these are about to wear out. They got a hole in the toe, but you can see I wear them all the time.
And that makes them so much more stylish.
It
I
really
think.
does, and I love that they're a little bit dirty. And in fact, I have a new pair, and I can't seem to break them out because they're too white. They're just too white. So,
Yeah.
and then I have on a leather bracelet that I got in Santa Fe this summer, which was too long. This is kind of cool. It was too long, so I took it to the shoe shop, and they cut it and spliced it and put this twine on it to cover where they made the seam in it. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Okay, that is
So,
that is a great idea, and I'm glad that you pointed that out, because a lot of times I go to my shoe shop or whatever. I have extremely tiny wrists, and I always have to have additional holes punched or grommets put or something shortened or whatever. And that's a really great idea, is to take something that you've already got and have it tailored.
Yes,
your
again.
have tailoring your jewelry to you. I forgot to mention my ensemble of bracelets. You and I both love Santa Fe. Some of these things came from Santa Fe. I think this little bracelet did. My leather bracelet, we did not coordinate
No, we
this.
didn't.
We did not coordinate this. My leather bracelet with a pearl clasp was given
like
to
that.
me by my friend Jenny, who's the bead buyer for Hobby Lobby. This bracelet came. Okay, those of you who are in Oklahoma, you will so recognize this. Came from a friend of mine who gifted it to me from BC Clark's. We could probably both belch out the BC Clark's holiday song, but we will spare our audience.
Yes.
And this bracelet came from one of my favorite stores in Salida, Colorado, Currents, which may or may not be there anymore, and then just in general, bangles, because I'm a bangle girl. My daisy. My ring is one of my very, very favorite sterling silver rings. I got this at a store on Western Avenue, Mockingbird Manor.
Yes, one of my favorite places.
Don't you just love that? It's a great antique
It
store
is.
on Western Avenue. My husband got me this years ago, and I love it. So there is our fashion ensemble du jour for you guys, and thanks for hanging out with us. Obviously, I am not the only one that likes to thrift for the garden and inside your home, because I got something in the mail and this touched me so much, you guys. Mary in Florence, Arizona, she sent me a belated birthday present with the sweetest card, and she said that she found these at a Goodwill store hanging all together in a bag at a Goodwill store, and she knows how much I love taper candles and candle snuffers, or snifters my mom used to call them. And look, she found 3 of them in a sack at her Goodwill store. Aren't they dear? So you never know what kind of treasures you're going to find, and these could be used inside or out, but I just think it's just as sweet as can be. I just love it, and I also love the scent of when the candle goes out, and the scent of the of the wax drying. So that is my number one thrifted item for the garden or for the house, compliments of my friend Mary. Now let's go elsewhere in the garden and I'll show you something else. Now let me talk a little bit more about my thrifting philosophy again before I show you the next item that I actually got 2 of them a number of years ago. So some people comment and said, how much junk do you really need? Well, I don't think of it as junk. I think of them as things that are repurposed or regifted. But that said, for probably every one thing I bring home, I take 10 things. So it's not like it's accumulating over time. I'm not really a hoarder. I gift a lot of it, but that way I can kind of economically use something for a little while, and then I can give it back to Goodwill, or like I say, re-gift it. So that's kind of my philosophy. I don't feel guilty about doing it. I'm not going to Target or someplace like that, buying a bunch of new stuff that then I don't use. This way I can use them, I can find delight in them, and then I can pass them on, either back to Goodwill, a thrift store, or to another friend. Okay, so here's my next thing. I like to look, as I've told you, for any kind of metallic items, including things like this old rusted hose holder. Now it kind of looks like a shepherd's hook, and I could easily hang a lantern on it, or I could hang a hanging basket on it. In this case, you'll see that I had a lantern hanging on it, but it's also used as a support for this euonymus topiary that took a hit this winter, but it's coming back out. So I'm kind of getting a twofer. It's a twofer use with this. I got a couple of them at the junk store or Goodwill a number of years ago. One is in my front yard. This one is in my backyard. So look for any kind of hooks, stands, or any kind of holders that you might be able to repurpose in your garden, and you don't pay anything for them being pre-aged. Well, one of the things I love about topiary is the art form of the display itself. Not too long ago, I saw an article in Martha Stewart Living. It was a library, and she had some of her topiaries, and they were sitting on what looked to be copper saucers. Now, I imagine that copper saucers could be pretty expensive, but if you are thrift-minded and thrifty, you can find something that's kind of a replica of that look, and I did. I got these on Amazon, and what they are is just copper burner covers for your stove, and they really look like copper. They look kind of high-end. They come in a set, 2 different sizes, and then I just put some felt glides on the bottom, and they look really nice inside. They protect your surfaces, and they look kind of high-end for not much money at all. Now, also a thrifty find you can get at the dollar store, and I buy these almost by the dozens. I love these inexpensive, you can see it rained last night, inexpensive glass coasters. Now I think what they really are candle holders to hold columnar or pillar candles, but they make brilliant saucers for your topiary, for your house plants, whatever. They've got these little feet on them, and they just kind of disappear as saucers. Plus, what I like about them, if you use them on a terrace stand like mine, those little feet kind of nestle into the grooves and the horizontal bars of the plant terrace itself, so it secures them in place, but it gives them all kind of a nice finish look, whether you're using them inside or out. So there's a couple of thrifty finds for you to use in your garden or in your house. Now let's move on to the next one. Well, Stuart was making fun of me because in the last thrifty find segment, I couldn't remember what those burner covers were called. So he was making fun of me and just asked me, so do I know what this is called? And yes, I do. This would be called a basket, a rectangular basket with a lid on it. I really like this find. I got it not too long ago at the Goodwill store. And what I like about it is it's the perfect size. It's the perfect width for seeds. So something like this, at the end of the season, I like to collect my own larkspur, poppy seeds, other types of seeds. This way, I can collect my own seed and I can then put them in a sweet basket like this from the thrift store, and I can gift it to somebody else at Christmas time. Well, it's a really damp, cool day, and it's especially damp and cool back here in my little work corner. Well, one of my husband's favorite things to do is take country roads, take the back roads to all of the different small towns in Oklahoma. It really is kind of fun. You guys might like doing it too. And what is fun about it a lot of times are those stores that you see typically on the outskirts of town when you're first driving in. Sometimes they'll be right next to a farm stand, but there'll be like a flea market store, an antique store, and you can find all sorts of cool things. A lot of them will be sitting outside. And years ago, I saw these old laundry tubs, and they were doing just that. They were sitting outside and they were calling my name. And why I wanted them was because I knew they would be brilliant for me to put potting soil in, and also my beloved gravel. Now, I've seen these a number of times at stores like this. I don't know how unique they were, but I've seen a lot of them, so you might be able to still find some yourself. Now, one thing to remember, if you use them for this same purpose, mine came on a stand like this, and they're really nice. They just kind of look like big square buckets. But one thing I learned over time is that they do have a drainage hole at the bottom, so make sure that you keep that drainage hole open. Otherwise, when it rains like it did yesterday, the water won't go all the way through and permeate the containers. They'll just kind of be a mosquito draw. So this would be another fun thing for you guys to look for a thrifted find at a flea market. Well, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Whenever I go to junk stores or thrift stores, I'm always looking for any kind of stands that may have had a previous life with another purpose, but that I can somehow reimagine or reuse in my garden. And this is a perfect example. This is just a beautiful old stand. I'm not sure what it held originally, maybe a gazing ball or something that form-fitted into these just circular holders or pins around the edge. But I have used it for several different things, and right now this iteration of its use is just a basket. It's actually a hanging basket that I've just nestled into here in between those kind of metal prongs. Now, in the past, what I also have used it for is a small table, kind of to showcase a fern. I was actually used it inside, and I got a great big, just a stone tile from Home Depot, and I put the stone tile on top of this, and then I just had a big cascading fern that was just kind of pendulous and overflowing around the edges. Because in and of itself, I think it's just inherently beautiful however you use it, and I can use it indoors or outdoors, and I think it's very multi-purpose. So another reason to look for any kind of stands that can be refashioned into a number of different ways. Now let's go to one more and we'll finish up this thrifting weekend. Now, my husband made me promise that I would include this in my thrift store Sunday segment because he's so proud of himself. He found this on the side of the road. I guess it was put out for Big Junk Day. And I'm not really sure what it is, but it's got a sort of kitsch charm. It looks like maybe it's a samurai costume vase or a bust or something like that. At any rate, he thought it was kind of fun and kind of charming, and I guess it is. Let me show you what it looks like on top. And I guess you have to be a little bit older maybe to finally appreciate the charm that is kitsch and how you might want to use it in some way in your home or in the garden. But my husband thought this was just too fun to pass up, and he was like a little kid when he brought it home to me. So there is your last thrift store or junk store or free by the side of the road find for this weekend. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me this morning. We're going to do a thrifting video, thrifting plus flowers video inspired. But first of all, Stuart and I want to make sure that we invite you to something that we're starting to do with some regularity, but the first one will be tomorrow at, is it 2 o'clock, Stuart? 2 o'clock Central Standard Time. We're going to do a YouTube Live, probably out here from in the garden or from my living room or whatever. And that way, if you guys want to ask me questions, put me on the spot, then this is your opportunity to do so. I'm not sure how long it will last, but you guys can just, how do they submit questions, Stuart?
There'll be like a chat option.
Okay, there'll be a chat option. You guys just type them in and then we will respond. It's going to be an experiment, but it might be kind of fun. So if you want to spend some time with me tomorrow, then please do so. But as for today, I haven't done a thrifting video in a while, and this seemed like the perfect opportunity because last week I actually had some time to go to some of my favorite spots, secondhand stores, antique stores, and of course Goodwill, to get some containers for two different reasons. One, it's May Day tomorrow, and I love this charming concept of putting together small little flower arrangements to give to people for May Day. And so I went to my daily rounds or my monthly rounds to get some pretty funky little containers so that I could gift some May Day surprise arrangements, but also because it's going to be Mother's Day. Mother's Day is just around the corner. So I thought you and I might share some ideas of ways that we can use our thrifted treasures to gift to somebody else and put a smile on their face. So I went and I bought a bunch of different things that I'm going to show you. This time kind of, in some cases, thinking specifically of people in mind, but other times just shopping those broad categories that I like to shop of things like pictures, metal, baskets, those types of items and materials. And then I went to Trader Joe's and I just got a whole bunch of flowers. And these, oh my gosh, these smell so fragrant. In our gardens, isn't it wonderful, Stuart? Mm-hmm. In our gardens, hyacinths are pretty much over, but you can still get them as cut flowers. And these, I think, are wonderful to use in different little arrangements, especially for May Day, because anything fragrant is especially sensual and experiential, I think. So let's start out with my container number one, and I'll go around. I think I have maybe 8 different containers that I got today. So this was just, sometimes you can just find old pieces of metal. This was a metal box. I loved it. I love the fact that the bottom fit into the top so nicely. And then I just put some of that natural floral foam. Stuart, we need to put a link to the video where I described this natural floral foam. It's not like the traditional Oasis. I put it in here, and then I just created this, what I think of as kind of like a little meadow garden. Now, the fun thing about this is the entirety of this arrangement, let me see, I think the container was $1.99 or $2.99. I have about $2 worth of carnations in here, and then the rest of the things were just clippings from my garden to make this arrangement look like, I think, just a little mini field of flowers. I love this look. And some of the things that I have in here are just some of the very new, soft, not prickly, new growth from some Burford hollies. I've got some spent seed heads of Spanish bluebells, just some carnations. And then this may be the only good thing about Bradford pear going to seed in your yard. So I just clipped some branches from some new volunteer Bradford pears, and I stuck that in here, and I think it looks really, really sweet, and I think I know exactly to whom I am going to gift this. In fact, I'm going to take this up to Enid for my bookstore signing later today, and I think I'm going to gift this as a little thank you gift to the bookstore owner. So I think that will be kind of fun. My next one, I'm not sure how I'm going to compose it, but you guys know these kind of baskets they can be rather pricey. They can be kind of a rare find. And I did find one. This is a miniature, little like market basket. I think this one was a little bit more expensive. It was like $6. But I'm going to fill it with, I'm not sure exactly what, but something fun for my sister-in-law who lives in Enid. We're going to be staying with her tonight, and I thought it would be really fun to fill this up and gift this to her as both kind of a housewarming because she just moved into a new home, but also as kind of like a little Mayday basket. So any kind of finds at the thrift store that have handles, especially if you want to surprise someone and do a random act of Mayday and just hang something on their doorknob, this would be a wonderful kind of basket. So this one I'm getting ready to fill. Now later we're going to go inside and I'm going to show you, because if I buy one thrift item for somebody else, of course I have to buy one for me. And I got this. This actually is a thrifted item I got a while ago. I don't know if I've already showed this to you, but I love it. It's got the quality of milk glass, and that's another category of things that I love to thrift for in general are glass items. So I've already done one huge arrangement for myself in my living room, which I will show you in a bit, but I wanted kind of a companion arrangement to go along with it, filled mostly with these delphiniums and some of this other, I'm not sure exactly what this is, but it's some kind of filler that I also got at Trader Joe's. And then also some clippings from my garden. Now when I go and I buy cut flowers, typically I try to buy things for obvious reasons that I can't or don't grow in my own garden. So as soon as I saw those delphinium, I latched onto these big time because they do not grow at all well in our Oklahoma gardens. So that kind of brings me that, and we'll make Stuart, don't let us forget to go inside and shoot that arrangement in the living room. Okay, here's my next one, you guys. I love here, and I need to wash this out really well before I fill it with flowers. But again, I'm always looking for just basic glass containers that I can re-gift to people. But then I'm also always looking for little metal bips and bops to kind of elevate and enhance some of the more common things like this glass vase. So I think this one I am going to fill, and this might be something maybe if I want to create an arrangement for Stuart to give to his mom Susu, or maybe even I think maybe we need to do one for your daughter Julia, Mayday her. So that would be a fun thing to do. So this is taking one kind of thing. I think this was $2 and this was probably like $1 at Goodwill, and it's fun to think of creative ways to put stuff together. So I think that's kind of fun. Okay, Stuart, let's kind of move around the table if we can a little bit. We're trying to stay in good light. I love flat, shallow baskets for many, many reasons. I love them to use to serve chips and things in when I entertain. I like to put them on top of maybe a pillar candlestick to elevate it and make it a holder for something. This would make a great bread basket. But I also like to mix textures. So this one was, I think, $3 and belonged to someone named Randolph at one time, and I got this at Goodwill, and I knew that I had this vase in my basement. I love really large, great big receptacles for flowers and things. These type of things is also a category I look for at the thrift store because they're great for that look that you see everywhere in catalogs and magazines right now, where you just clip large branches of almost whatever, Japanese maple, evergreens, whatever, and you just have these huge mammoth statement making almost portions of a tree trunk that simulates a tree, and you put them in these great big containers. So I'll probably do something like that, but I'm going to nestle it in this basket, and I had a pretty good eye because it fit exactly. That way I have a little bit of additional texture, a little bit more protection for the table service, and it will be very, very stable for me to do a large arrangement of flowering or just leafy branches. And here is another example. I love this one. It's so sweet and delicate. I actually got this at Mockingbird Manor. I love how dear it is. I love the delicacy of the detail work on it. I think this one was, again, a more expensive find. It was like $5. But this, I think, is a fun type of thing to leave at your entryway, put your keys in, to hold pens. In different places of my house, I have areas where I have my business cards and things, or sometimes small brochures that I want to give to people when they come by and see the garden, things of that nature. But I like to have things like this to hold, maybe cocktail napkins. That would be a great use for this. Or again, I could nestle some kind of flower arrangement in here. But I love this, and it would be really dear to gift someone just a basket like this, and then put a little bouquet of flowers in it, tie it up with a sweet ribbon, and just give it like that. So I think that could be a really dear May Day or Mother's Day idea. Okay, so this one, let me come back over here, Stuart. I love this one. This might be my favorite one. So I found this little sweet, I think this is a seagrass basket. Look, it's got a lid that is attached to it. And this is your quintessential May Day basket, you guys. So I just had a plastic leftover container. I think I'd gotten some soup in it from Whole Foods or something. Put that in there, filled it up with water. Then I took clippings from the garden. This is actually a small little redbud tree, and I pulled it out and I tried to keep the roots attached. So if the recipient of this wants to try to plant it and grow it, they can. I've got some clippings of Obsession Nandina in here. That's a Southern Living plant. I have, what else do I have in here, Stuart? Just different color carnations. The other half of the bouquet that I put in this one. So this has about $2 worth of flowers in it, and a really sweet $5 basket. I love this one. I think it's adorable. I got this at one of my little shops along Western. And this would make the perfect kind of May Day basket to hang on someone's doorknob. Maybe ring the doorbell and run away. I think that would be fun. I've actually got a friend across the street who's a caregiver for her husband who has Alzheimer's, and she needs a little cheering up, so I think I might do that. This might be a basket hit and run. I might just hang this, leave this for her. It'll put a smile on her face, and this might be my favorite one. I think it's really, really sweet. Let me see, have I forgotten anything else? Let's go back over here, because another category that I kind of look for always are pictures and pottery. So this, just little inexpensive. This was, I don't know, a home collection. I don't know what this is, but I love looking for little tiny pictures like this. And you guys, you can cut almost anything from your garden to fill these little vases and these little pitchers. I love the fact that this has a dual use as both a pitcher and a vase. But look, I could fill it. How sweet would that be to fill it with some of my own columbine, the yellow or the purple columbine. Over here, Stuart, can you follow me over here? This Sweet Henry Sweet Spire, or Little Henry Sweet Spire, I should say, is just coming into bloom. And wouldn't it be dear if I filled this with that Sweet Spire, Stuart? or cut some really large branches to fill in one of my other containers. I think that would be very, very dear. Or I could do a combination of a few different things, and then just hang a little tag on here that says surprise, happy May Day. I think that would be really, really a dear little gift. And you can so often find these pictures. Sometimes it might be just half of a set of a creamer and a pitcher set. Just little, they're just everywhere in Goodwill. Some of them are porcelain, some of them are pottery, some of them are metal, and these make perfect little May Day gifts. You could just fill it with any kind of greenery. It doesn't have to be expensive. On the contrary, I think this would be adorable. Get a bunch of these for your kids or your grandkids. Give them some scissors, some blunt scissors, let them go out into the garden, cut some things, and fill these little inexpensive pitchers to give to grandmothers, to give to mothers, to give to teachers. I think that would be so dear, because I could see a really, really sweet arrangement in here of just dandelion flowers. Or henbit. I think that would be so cute. So that's another idea. Just get a whole bunch of these, and they're so inexpensive. Just keep a box filled with them, have them on hand. So then when you want to give a teacher's gift, or you want to bring just a little smile present, or a little hostess gift to someone that you're visiting. If you're going to visit someone else's garden, bring a little bouquet, and you'd have also a little inventory of all of these kind of sweet little vases to take with you. I've got one last one to show you, and then we'll go inside. Thank you for reminding me, Stuart. I'm going to pot this one, at least temporarily, pot this up. This is one of those rippled jade plants that I am so fascinated with. I got this at Bustani when we were here the other day, and I love the way it looks in this kind of earthy vibe. So I had originally taken it out of its plastic pot, but I think I'm going to put it back in here. I'm going to put then that plastic pot into this clay container, this glazed clay container, because it doesn't have drainage. That way the plant can be taken out. And this will be kind of a different kind of gift to give to someone. This would be the perfect type of thing to give to my son and daughter-in-law, or maybe even to somebody like Stuart, because it's got kind of a more masculine vibe. So Stuart, have I forgotten anything? Did we give enough ideas to people that they can surprise?
Did we do a question of the day?
Oh, we didn't do a question of the day. Oh no. So what would you put from your garden? What would you, and we might need to cut this out and put it at the front, Stuart, so that people don't miss it. We'll figure something out. But what would you guys clip and cut from your own gardens to put into these little Goodwill and thrift store finds? What would you put in them? Who would you gift them to, and which one of these is your favorite? There's a multiple choice. You can select any one of those questions to answer for the day. So there you go. This was a lot of fun. Stuart, let's do a little epilogue by going inside and showing the flower arrangement I've got in there. So you guys have a great Saturday. Well, this is kind of an impromptu, let's move inside little epilogue, but I did want to show you, so the lighting may not be great, but I did want to show you this gorgeous arrangement that I made of the delphinium. I have all sorts, I have, some of this golden barberry in here. I've got some Oakland holly, new growth from Oakland holly, all of the other kind of components that I had in some of the flowers that I showed you outside. I did another similar arrangement that I'm going to take upstairs and put in my office. But when we walked back in, I told Stuart, I said, oh my gosh, I forgot the favorite thrifted arrangement that I made. So I'm going to show you that now. It was on my kitchen table, and that is this one. I love this little basket. Stuart, can we see that? Is the light good enough?
I'll switch
okay.
sides where I got the sun on this side.
Okay, so I love this sweet little basket. It's got a handle on it. This basket was just $2.50, and I filled it with the most fragrant flower of all, I think. This is beautiful stock. I just have, in fact, I left it enough room so you could see. Stuart, can you show down in there how I've just got a leftover container?
Yeah.
Plastic container in there, and then I've just filled it with some stock that's being held together by, held in place by a flower frog. But this one was my favorite arrangement, and I forgot to take it outside to the table to show you. So forgive me, but I definitely wanted to make sure that you saw this one, because this was really my favorite one. So this person might be a really special person that I give this to. Maybe I'll give it to Hubs, who knows. So I wanted to make sure that I showed you these, how they looked in place, and what I do with some of my thrift store finds. So once again, thank you for hanging out with me on this Saturday morning. You guys have a good one. Well, yesterday we shot, or the last video we shot in the evening, and this one we're shooting in the morning, and the light really is just so beautiful, but it also partly explains my outfit today, which is maybe a little wonky. But I am getting ready later this morning to do a book signing in Enid, so we're shooting early so we can drive up there. And I didn't want to put on my kind of work clothes quite yet when I was outside playing in the garden. I had some watering to do and some other things like that. So I am kind of just in what I think of as chatelaine attire. Now, I love the word chatelaine. It's kind of like when you are the caretaker of your own domicile. And I think I want to like bring back the concept of a house dress, which is just a loose, remember the house dresses of the 60s and the 70s? I know my mom used to have them, and my grandmother. And they were just loose fitting things that you wore around the house while you were puttering, especially in the morning. So I've got one on today that I bought in Santa Fe. It's linen. It has that kind of Brooke Gianetti vibe that's kind of, it's just earthy and natural and very, very comfortable. And this one, I'm covering it up with my apron, but this one also has pockets. So it's really, really wonderful. And it makes a wonderful little house dress, kind of in between your pajamas and your regular attire for the day. It's very comfortable, and yet it's a little bit more modest than if you're outside in your pajamas. And then I just have a Williams-Sonoma apron on. I have my fancy earrings on that I will be wearing with my outfit later in the day for my book signing, and then I just have some foot form shoes on. So there you go. If you held on this long, that is my outfit du jour.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.